All right, good evening. Welcome in to this December Masterclass. At the time of this recording, it is December 18th, the Monday of the week of Christmas. And so we are perfectly on time here for this conversation of our nervous system and how we regulate stress, how we flow through stressful situations in our external world and our internal world, and really the science behind being you as a human. I've spent a lot of time looking at the science of emotions and of thought and of this nervous system. So I'm so excited to jump into this topic with you. Now, whether you're here live or you're catching the replay here, welcome in. I hope that you have maybe grab a cozy beverage. I know I have some Tulsi tea, talking about, this is one of my favorite teas to drink. It's organic India, and it's Tulsi lemon ginger. It's caffeine free, but Tulsi is a really beautiful herb. I also have the essential oil of Tulsi, and I actually used it last night. I love it at bedtime on my wrists to help calm the stress response in the body, the chemical stress response, which we're going to talk about tonight. But, you know, long-standing herb, Tulsi is, in helping the body process and regulate the stress hormones, the stress chemicals that we're feeling. So a good one to pull out if you have it. And just a good tea to have too. I love lemon and ginger. I sometimes also add a little squeeze of lemon, add it in there, and a drop of ginger essential oil for a really cozy and therapeutic benefiting drink. So just a little bit there for you to create coziness and environment. Grab a warm blanket, snuggle in here. I'm just going to get cozy, okay? Because we're going to talk about stress, and that might bring up some things, or perhaps you're entering this in and you're like, I don't have time to talk about this. Like, stress is just my life. It's my reality. This is how things are. And maybe in some distant future, it'll get better for me. But right now, I'm just dealing with it. I'm strong. I can get through it. And yes, that is true, but I'm here to help give you some practices and insights into how to flow through it with more grace and ease for yourself and on your mind and on your body, because stress is hard on us in more ways than one. So let's dive in here. Let me share my screen with you. Okay. This is always interesting to try and, there it is. Okay. All right, and here we are. So a nervous system masterclass. What we're going to cover here is the stress response and the causation. We're going to do a little self-audit. Perhaps what's causing you the most stress? Have you sat down with yourself? You're like, oh, I already know, Allison, we don't need an audit here. But, you know, what's causing you? Or perhaps you just have some new insights, and drop in. We're going to create that space for you to do a little bit of awareness work. The cycle of creation, the power of your senses, and a practice to move you into a state of calm and relaxation. And we're talking like less than 5-minute practice daily to help train your body and your mind into this alignment of calm and peace and relaxation, or just contentment, right? And then we're going to talk about the decision and becoming, like the decision that is up for us to make moment to moment, day to day, and dream a little bit, right, of who we are becoming, and what's next for us here. So again, if you're watching live on Facebook, we are connected, and you know me. I am Allison Henry. But if we're watching on YouTube, if you're connecting here live, and you've found this class through social media and through sharing, I'm Allison Henry, and you might be asking the question, who is this person, and how are you qualified to be talking about this topic or sharing this information? And so a few short years ago, That was me on the screen. I was just getting by, dragging. If you asked me how, how were things, I would say I hated my life. Like that's, you know, who wants to sit down at dinner with somebody and ask them, so how are you and what's going on? And the person's like, oh, hate my life. Like that's a real downer. Anyways, sleeping cycles were off, my cycles were off, my digestion, I was anxious, my face was inflamed, I was in pain. Just feeling okay, just going through the motions. I was like a robot, I would describe, at least my partner would describe to me like, hello, is anyone in there? Are you just a robot? Like lifeless, of like just that type of feeling. And so perhaps you identify with one of those feelings, or you're like, oh, I totally get you there. And I made some abrupt life changes and in that, and decided to take a different path, to take a huge leap of faith, to go in head dive first, scared, fear, face the fear, do it anyways, like all the things, change a lot of things externally in my life. But what I came to find was, yes, the external matters and the stressors and things, but so much of it is created from our perception, from the emotions that we are not allowing ourselves to feel, from the thoughts that we're thinking, and really internal environment, right? So our external environment can be what it is, and it can contribute to stress, and it can elevate and escalate. But what I have learned is that it is really the internal state, right, of our being, of our energy, how we care for ourselves, how we nourish ourselves, the relationship we have with ourselves, that really transformed things for me. And so I am here now as have gone through this journey, and like when you go through things, right, and you become, you're out of the emotions and the energetics of it, it becomes wisdom, right? It's like we process all of that. Now we have this wisdom, that great wisdom that we can share with other people. And along my journey, the tools of essential oils and different supplements and practices and mindset and habits that I myself learned from other coaches and teachers and gurus, really, and just enveloped myself, became a researcher. And so I bring you this personal wisdom, this knowledge and expertise, and really just became a student of this topic of like, how do we get out of living life like a robot? And how do we become more full in the life that we're living? How do we become more radiant, more energized, more vivacious, more energetic beings, and live a life that we love? And that's really what I'm here now in this coaching role, alongside of and partnering with the top, therapeutic grade essential oils and natural wellness supplements and tools that help, right, living this lifestyle, cultivating this lifestyle, both all mind, body, and spirit. So I am also an essential emotions coach, and using that in my coaching and in sessions with clients. And yeah, this coaching role really just felt like the next step to, like, after going through taking on all of these, really embodying this practice and this knowledge and this wisdom that I've gained to help others. And if I can just shine light on others and different areas of their health and well-being, or inspire, provide hope to someone, then for them to find their path to living a life less stressed, then that warms my heart. So that's who I am. That's why I am qualified to teach this, from personal experience and from just the transformational journey that I have gone on to inspire others to reach more of their radiant self, to become either like to uncover that, to activate that, to shine that out into the world, and to be who we were meant to be, right? Come home to ourselves. So live radiantly. So that's a little bit about me. And you're here either in this Zoom call or watching this replay because 70% of us are living in stress, and we can harness the own power that we have within our body and really get to know how we can reduce stress and anxiety, the inner workings of what's going on, And as we know better, we can do better, right? And with awareness, we can make better informed decisions. So, and oh, I wonder why those images aren't showing up there. Okay, so the image that was on here was a guy sitting and doing a like yoga or a meditation, excuse me. He was in a meditative pose and he was like, it looked like, come on, peace, like inner peace, just show up, like this pushing, hoping, wish, like praying for that to come. And then in the other bubble was like this guy talking about anxiety. And he was like, anxiety, I've got this. And he's like, but have you thought about this? And he's like, oh, you bring up a good point, So it's just this like internal struggle that we have with ourselves to, and I'm just going to come off share here for just a second so that we don't have that disrupted. But it's just really that like, this is a process and we need to also have some grace for ourselves. So let me just go to show you I'm sorry, I'm just so many screens up in my thing here. There we go. Okay, so I want us to though, just drop into, and you're here, and perhaps a thought that you're having right now is, so it's the week of Christmas and the holidays coming up, and you're like, how do I enjoy this season and relax when finances need to be met and my family has expectations of me, and my friends are struggling with this, that, and the other thing, and they need my support, and I wish things were different. Or perhaps you're like, I wanted things to be different and now they're different, and I'm not so sure that I actually like this kind of different. Like it's stressing me out because it's unknown and I don't know how to move forward. Or I'm just so exhausted that how do I actually enjoy? Like I can't even relax, but I'm so exhausted. Have you ever been in that state? And, how can I enjoy this season and like have less stress when I miss my grandmother's presence, right? This season and her cookies, and just like things aren't the same as they used to be. And I'm sad about that. And so we're just going to talk about those things and honor those feelings and validate that is real and raw, and that is being human, right? And so we bring all of that forward. I'm just going to invite you to close your eyes with me. Because as soon as we close our eyes and just take this simple practice of coming into the present moment, because those thoughts can take us so many different places in the past and in the future. And we relive things, right? And so just coming into the present moment. And then when you close your eyes, most of our stimulation is like from what we see. So if we just close our eyes, starts to shut down the stimulus, right? Lots of it. We just take a deep breath. And I want you to just breathe into your belly. Maybe you're noticing that your breath is in your shoulders. That's quite all right. Just take another deep breath with me. I want you to feel the breath like down in your belly, down in your hips. Take slow, deep breaths. And maybe you place a hand on your heart and on your belly if it feels comfortable to you. And you just feel your heart beating. And who is beating your heart? But this innate intelligence, this wisdom, this spirit, and you just presence yourself to that. Take another deep breath into your belly. Maybe you even let out a sigh if it feels good to you. Let out what no longer serves you. It's a scream, a yell, whatever. Just the breath. Another deep breath in. And you just begin to surrender yourself. You feel the seat below you, holding you. You're held here. Feel your feet on the ground. With another deep breath, surrendering parts of you to a higher, greater mind, the one you've been circulating thoughts in, stressful thoughts. And we just come into gratitude. Thank you, heart, for beating. Thank you, lungs, for breathing. Take another deep breath. And I want you to ask yourself, what is it you want to feel more of? What would you love to feel more of just in this moment? When you're ready, you can just flutter your eyes open. And I want you to write down what came to mind. I also want you to think about how you are feeling right now. Take notice. Notice how your breath feels. Is it more down in your belly than your shoulders and your top of your chest? Are you more present here in the moment? I know I am. And so just in that short moment, right, our breath, closing our eyes, things can start to bring us into the present moment where our power is, where our balance, right, where harmony, where our homeostasis can live. So we're going to also know that when we create that space, what we just did was create space for ourselves to be present with our body. Like physically, when I feel like when you touch, put your hand on your heart, when you touch your heart, when you connect physically, you're presencing yourself and you're giving yourself space and time to be present with what is, connected to what is current right here and now, your senses, your body. And then once that space is created, just by the breath of regulating and slowing things down for us, we can make a new choice, right? What is it that you want to feel? If stress is not what we're wanting to feel, sadness, despair, grief, frustration, overwhelm, if those are not what we want to feel, what is it that we want to feel? And just becoming aware of what it is we might want to feel and getting clarity on that is really helpful to be able to move forward and into it. And I'm going to share what that looks like in a little bit. But first, I'm going to come back to my screen here. And I want to talk to you about this, the nervous system. So this is our topic, and we're talking about the 3 states, or we're talking about the nervous system, right? So our autonomic nervous system, and I want you to think of this scenario here. So we're going to picture an animal, such as a deer in the forest, grazing, or in my backyard of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania right now, right? Grazing peacefully. And let's assume that it's in homeostasis, which is the word for balance, and it perceives danger, right? Perceives my dog coming out and danger. Or there are like coyotes in the area too. So it perceives that danger is near by its senses. And this predator triggers a fight or flight system in the deer. The deer's sympathetic nervous system, which is part of our autonomic nervous system. We have sympathetic and parasympathetic. So our sympathetic, I think of it like as sympathy, like it feels bad that like it wants to protect us. So it triggers this fight or flight in the deer. And this in the body, it maintains like this part of your nervous system is known for maintaining things like temperature regulation, blood pressure, blood sugar, digestion, things like that, things that we don't think about. Okay. So it's just like regulating our eyes blinking, our breath, breathing, growing new eyelashes, all of those things is the sympathetic, this nervous system for this autonomic functions. Autonomic meaning automatic, right? And so to prepare for this animal to deal with the threat, the body is chemically altered. The body chemically alters things that are happening, right? Sends out different chemicals and hormones. And if the deer, so in this state though, all of this energy is going to mobilize, or is taking a lot of energy to do. So to prepare that deer for fight or flight, running away, lots of energy is used. Lots of resources are used. Now, if the deer was chased by coyotes and it utilizes this energy that it built up from this amazing nervous system response called fight or flight, it can run from these coyotes, and in 15 to 20 minutes, it goes back to grazing. So it goes back to this normal grazing and its internal balance is restored. This is called short-term stress, and all organisms can function and thrive, right, with short-term stress. We can turn it on and we can turn it off. Stress is just another word for when the brain and the body are knocked off balance. So when we're out of homeostasis, and the stress response is chemicals. It's just this chemical flood of response to a stressor. Now, when you can't turn this off, you have the stress response. Remember I said it took a lot of energy, a lot of resources in the body, a lot of blood flow to extremities, right, to run away. When we have this stress response, the body is headed for disease, okay? It's headed for breakdown of some sort because no organism was ever meant to live in this extended period of time like this in the body. You don't see the deer, like I watch them in my backyard, they go back to grazing. Like they don't stay waiting for that coyote to come back again because it came once. So we can turn this on because we're reacting to our external environments. Like if somebody was chasing us or somebody, down, down the street. And unlike animals, we turn this on by thoughts alone. So I want you to think about that. We turn on this stress response in our body by thoughts alone. Like when we're lying in bed, ready to go to bed. Or when we're laying in the massage table. Right? We're in a relaxing massage and our mind's like, oh no, you're going to be thinking about this because this needs figured out, right? This is a threat. Your mind thought alone, right? And nobody thinks in a vacuum. So when you're thinking these thoughts, every thought creates a biochemical change. So this reaction in the body makes a chemical. And the brain is thinking something and the body's like, okay, we're going to feel like the brain is thinking, So just let that sink in for just a moment. And then when the body memorized this state of thinking, like, yes, we can get addicted to these chemical states, to these chemical reactions in our body and prolong this stress response. When we get in this reoccurring thing, we can start to say oh, this is like my personality. When the thoughts and feelings merge, we're just like, oh yeah, I'm an anxious person, or I am typically, yeah, I'm just shy. I'm not really confident. I can't make decisions. I'm pretty indecisive, or I'm really not that smart, and I'm just short-tempered. It becomes like a personality. Our personal reality, right, is our personality, which is created by our thoughts. Okay, I just said so much there for you. What's on the screen is these three states of the nervous system. You'll see that the two are survival. So we have the fight, flight, and then we have a shutdown and a freeze state. That's all survival. And then at the bottom, the ventral vagal or the safety, this is your creation mode. Now, us organism, we cannot live, we don't have survival and creation. They're not working together. It's a switch. It's like survival or creation. Are we in survival mode or are we in creation mode? And you can see creation mode is like this safety, this connectivity with other humans, with ourselves, right? Like we're present, we're in the moment, we're grounded, we're calm, we're peaceful, we're compassionate. And you can see what's happening in survival mode. So how often are you in survival mode? And how often are you in creation mode? And survival mode, like this is stress, because remember, stress is just a chemical. Stress is this reaction, this switch of this fight, flight, or freeze, this shutdown, this chemical soup, if you will, that's going through your body. So, chemical speaking, the chemical response, some of you have probably heard of cortisol. Cortisol is a stress response in the body. It's a hormone released. And so what cortisol does is it's like that, like cortisol, adrenaline, right? And we really want this. Like, have you ever felt the rush of this through your body when you're driving and someone cuts you off in traffic, and like, whew, when you have to step on the brakes and flush your body, it like flushes with that rush. Well, this is, a rush of cortisol and adrenaline, and these things really are helpful, right? To slam on the brakes when we need to avoid a threat. But over time, it causes inflammation in the body. Inflammation in the body is exhausting. Again, it takes so much energy. So you see this list of things of like, oh, this chemical that's pumping through my bloodstream is also creating inflammation, which is also taking resources away from other functions in my body. And now other things are going awry. And I'm not out of the fight, flight, or freeze state. I'm still not bringing my nervous system into balance, into homeostasis. The other thing, and so this is really quite interesting, right? So what is the question? Like, what is so harmful about having a stress response that's so like potent and powerful, right? We're powerful and made and created so magnificently for threats, right? To survive. Yet in today's world, like with all of the things that we're presented and the fast pace and the technology and the things that we're aware of, that we're experiencing, that we're part of, we can just trigger from thoughts alone of our like pressures from past, present, and future. So we're like in the past, and we like can also think about future threats as we're creating stress in the body. Your heart can race, which is gonna, which turns into like other health issues, right? If your heart's always beating fast, real or imagined threats. So we turn on this enormous response, right, of this blood flow, and it's real or imagined threats. Now you're like, yeah, but they're not imagined, they're actually real. And so there's this like just deciphering again too of thoughts and beliefs, and we're going to get into that just a little bit. But the tiger chasing after you is your boss sending you an email or calling you into his office, or your mother-in-law, or your, like the bill that, unexpectedly came in the mail today. Like those types of threats are very real. And if we're in this, then you can see all this energy exerted. Our body's immune system, which monitors our inner world, right, can't keep up with the lack of energy for growth, for repair, for restoring. And so therefore we get sick, and sick could be a cold, flu, whatever, but it can also be bigger things than that, right? Humans are different than animals in which we can like re-experience and pre-experience. That's what I'm saying. Like we can go back and relive what happened in our day, and we can re-experience it all night long. I used to do that. I was the best at doing that. Coming home from work, leaving the stressful experience, and coming home from work and re-experiencing it over and over in my mind and my body. And then I could pre-experience what was going to happen tomorrow, that I created a story about in my head, what I was entering in tomorrow, how stressful it was going to be. So we can get into this, and it's very real, right? When it, like, at the time, I didn't think at all it was dramatized or made up. Like, it's very real. And so real or imagined, it can be really real and feel really real to us and be created in creating this stress. So we can relive or experience these traumatic situations. And I just want to put in here that trauma means that we just don't have the tools and or like the means to process what's going on. And trauma can be collective trauma. It can be what we're watching in the world, main stage. Like, talk about that can be traumatic to watch images, to see content on our social media feed, to see videos. Like, we are so connected now, which is amazing. And it gives our brain this stimulus that we're like connected, and that can be stressful because it's not okay what we're seeing, and it creates stress. And so this is all very real for us. I don't know if anyone who's, I'm connected with would say like, I don't experience stress or I'm not stressed. I think a lot of us are, especially, with this time of year. And the other thing is that the stress response in our brain, right? So it's like this chemical, your brain and your body are, talking to each other, and we'll see this two-way communication street of the vagus nerve, but your brain and body, like there's things happening in your body that really, like, when I learned about it, helped me to understand, oh, okay, so it's not just me, or it's not just something wrong with me. It's actually something really right with you, right? Your body is designed in this way. It's just like, oh, it's designed as such. And so I have to have practices to bring it back into balance versus there's something wrong with me. So brain waves, we have different levels of brain waves, and one of the brain waves, beta, we're like typically in beta brain waves throughout our day and most of the day, but we can go into high beta brain waves, and we're rapidly like a hyper arousal state where we're not able to learn, create, dream, problem solve, or even heal. So I'm sure you have felt, I have felt like, and I remember coming out of, or just being so dysregulated in my nervous system. I had no idea. I thought, I'm just like surviving. I'm just doing what I need to do in life and be, yeah, just all the things. And I remember thinking, like, somebody asking me, like, what are your dreams? And I was like, I was like, wait, something wrong with me? Like, is there something wrong with me that I can't even like these people? I can't go around in a circle at a meeting and say like, oh yeah, I'm dreaming up, or how you're like in a situation and then afterwards you're like, oh, I should have said this and I could have done it this way. And problem solving, or you're in somewhere and you're totally stressed out and you leave the meeting and you're like, what did we learn? What was that? Or like you're reading a book and, you're trying to take in information, but you're like, oh, I didn't even pick up any of that. Like there's this, because your brain is in a state, right? And the chemicals in your body, it's like not possible. It is, but it's like it's harder to achieve these states, if we're constantly in stress, to focus. So the mind is amped up, the body is too stimulated to be in any sort of semblance. So it's like bumbling around, right? And then I'm focusing, like you're focusing on too much and it's too hard to stop. So it's like, I wish I could just stop. Well, it's too hard to stop, right? Your brain's here, your chemicals. So your brain's thinking this thought, your body's in alignment with the brain, pumping out chemicals. And now your brain and body are one, and you're just like, the body is actually taking over the brain, right? In this chemical state. And your brain's trying to keep up, but it's like anxiety, worry, anger, pain, suffering, frustration, fear, and even competitive states of mind induce this brainwave during the crisis. And the crisis, it can be long-term or short-term. Okay. So if we don't close the stress loop, we don't come out of this loop, right? Or get into the practice of ending it, ending the stress cycle, right? Shortened stress cycle versus continuous and ongoing. This can be really exhausting, right? No wonder. And so it's like, oh, no wonder I'm so tired. Like I'm exerting so much energy. And why I'm, teaching you the science of you and what's going on in your nervous system and the parts of you, I hope that it helps you understand like, oh, this is like my body's natural response. And I have some choice here. Like I can choose to learn how to take control back over, right? This innate, like this part of who I am and how I was created. Okay. So just like, this is like the halfway like point of this presentation of like, again, creating space to just like get clear. And what I really hope for you is that you can come into like, okay, if I am feeling stressed, and you know what, you can take this word stressed in this, in these questions, and you can replace it with anger. You can place it with grief. You can place it with any feeling. I use stressed because that was, that's like the topic and generic, what we're talking about, but feel free, right? When you're doing this audit for yourself, like what you're feeling. So when I feel stressed, what are my thought patterns? And again, you'll have these questions in this recording, and I would just, come back to them. Even I know it's fine. It's helpful for me when I like can observe, like I'm stressed now, and then I can like in the moment brain dump these thoughts. But or maybe you're like I've been here too. It's like I'm always stressed. Like I don't know a time when I feel calm. I was talking to a girlfriend the other day and she's like, I don't know any time, I just get through it. I just, do it. And I would, so if stress is prevalent for you and it's more chronic in this survival state, it's like, what are my thought patterns? And as we start to script them down, like brain dump them out of your brain, you could do this at night, like as you're going to bed, as you're putting yourself to bed, like get these thoughts down on paper so that you can take a look at them and you can see some patterns here of like, oh, I keep telling myself I'm not enough. Oh, I'm not doing enough. Oh, there's not enough time. Oh, I didn't help enough. I didn't, or she didn't do enough for me, or, all of these thoughts. Maybe it's around enoughness. And what do you say to others and yourself? What do you tell yourself when you're stressed? You're no good. See, you let so and so down again. Why do you do this all the time? And how do you act? How do you act when I'm overly stressed? It's like I can't hear another thing, right? I shut down, like turn off all the noise, all the things, like I need space, I need quiet, I need stillness. Like I can't hear another thing, right? Stay away from me. What other emotions spring forth? Anger, frustration, overwhelm. I'm overwhelmed. Right? I wish this would just stop. How do I make this how do I make this stop? Or I'm thinking about, other people and how they should be handling life and situations that impact me. But try and keep this self, right? Local, like immediate here to you. And what triggers your stress? Like if we could just like dig into the soil a little bit, because at the surface it might be like, well, my job and my coworker saying this to me. It's like dig a little deeper. Okay, and so what did she say that caused the stress? What was the word, right? And when have you felt this before? Is this a pattern? And what might I change? How might I change my reaction? For me, what caused stress a lot was change. I was working in education. And if anyone works in education, you're like, yeah, I get this. It's like you have a plan. You have a lesson plan. You have a schedule. You have a plan to when you have a prep, when you have a lunch, when you have a bathroom break. Like you have planned, you're scheduled to the minute, you're regimented, it's a well-oiled machine and you have a control over that. And then you show up, right, for work and, oh, we're changing this today and this is changing and so is not here. So you're going to do this. And it was just like, what? Like, no, you can't change my schedule. I can't have this much change. You can't deal with change. Or it was, change around just my partner and I, I'd have this planned and, oh, I forgot we can't do it today. We're going to do it tomorrow. Like, can you do it tomorrow? No, I can't do it tomorrow. I made time today, or like I just could not handle change. That really stressed me out when people would change my plans or when things would change and I was responsible for different things at different times or whatnot. I don't know what brings you stress. I can't see the chat box or anything, but yeah, just taking an audit because with awareness, again, you can make a new change and new choice. And really get honest with yourself, right? Have compassion for yourself, but come into some heart talk here, some honesty. What's going on, right? What's going on here, heart? What do you need me to know, right? What's at the root of this? It's causing me so much stress. I was talking with a gal the other day and she was like, I'm so anxious. And really, when we came down to like, it's causing so much stress and anxiety, is like, I'm unclear. I'm unclear of how to show up in my job. And because if I show up like this, then somebody doesn't like it. And then if I show up like this, and so it's like this whole like showing up as who I am causes me stress. And then I try to be someone else. And then it's like, I'm unclear. I'm unclear how to, do it all, like, right? Be it all. Be different people for different, because different people need me to be differently at my job, at home, and this and that, and those types of things. So just take an audit of yourself. You'll have these questions to come back to at any time. Because why this is so important, right, is your nervous system is the key to unlocking any reality you desire. So if your reality is like, I want more peace and calm, can I just feel peace and calm? And for me, it was like, oh, I'm going to go take myself to a massage. And sometimes it's like, it would take, I mean, even in the most relaxing environment, right? Like I couldn't get out of my head. And if I could, it was like towards the end and then it was over and it was right back into the swing of things. So anyways, this is a practice of really getting into regulating our nervous system on a regular basis because our thoughts, right? You've seen this cycle of creation, I'm sure, or said some way like your thoughts create your emotions or your mindset. Like just change your mindset and you'll be change your mindset, change your life, change your thoughts, and you'll like have better results. And that is all true. Yet our nervous system, like we can change our mindset and make up a different mind story, tell ourselves another thought, but our body can still feel so unsafe and unsettled that it's not creating the emotion that then like we're like avoidant of the action and then our results are inconsistent or not as we had hoped because we're really after a feeling. Like we're really after a feeling at the end of the day. Even if we have X amount of money in the bank, we're after security. And maybe that doesn't bring us security. Or even if we have a warm home and like warmth and food and all the things, like we just don't feel safe and secure in our body. So how do we trigger safety? It's our nervous system. Our nervous system has to feel safety, feel safe. Okay. Like beyond our basic needs being met, how do we trigger our nervous system to feel safe so that we can get in this creation that we want, like what we can create the feelings that we want to. We can create the results that we're after. Your nervous system will always choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar haven. This should say heaven, sorry, always, or haven. Yeah, it is right. Anyways, your nervous system will always go to the unfamiliar, like the familiar hell. So it's like, you know what? I know this stress feeling so well. I'm good. We're good. Don't change anything because like I'm good. I know how to handle stress. I've built up all of these resistance. Like I have all these things to deal with it. I have all of these, even like my go-tos, like, you know, my habits, or we could call them addictions, right? Things to numb, things to even deal with it. Like I'm good. Um, and so your nervous system is a little like doesn't feel safe, like going to somewhere new or like thinking of something new. So if we go back to like your body has memorized or has been running on these stress chemicals for so long, guess what happens? It's like, I just want to feel joy, right? And so we're like, okay, we leave our stressful situation and we go on vacation. Well, guess what happens? We get sick, right? Or we're like, okay, I'm just going to leave this stressful situation. I'm going to choose something different, and it falls through. Or, we leave this stressful situation. We're super happy in our new current situation or job or relationship. And then we find something else to be really stressed out about. Like now I don't have enough money because I left that job and that was more money and all the things. Anyways, what I'm saying is your body remembers that stress. And when you're in there, your body has been helping you survive. So your body's really smart and they're like, hey, you needed this to survive. And we met your need. We provided you all of these chemicals and all of this support. So you had it, what you needed. And now you're like, I just want to feel joy. I want to feel calm. And so you start to do things differently and it's unfamiliar. And the body's like, wait, you're not calling for these chemicals to come out anymore to produce the stress response in the body. What's going on here? Like, produce this for her. This is how she survives or he survives, right? So you're confusing your body. And so there is a process here. Expansion. Expansion means that we like step out or we do something different. Okay, I'm not going to think of that thought anymore. I'm going to choose a new thought. Well, when we practice a new thought, when we put ourselves into a new situation, when we leave the job, right? Big or small, expansion step, we activate something within us, something new, something different, something unknown, something unfamiliar, something scary. So what do we have to do? Signal safety and then integrate. And we have to give ourselves time, right, to integrate. This is nervous system work. Okay. So we step into an expansion like, oh, I just turned down that holiday party. And that makes me feel really like that activated in me some guilt. And now I have this guilt feeling and like it feels really not like uncomfortable to me. And then you're like, okay, I have to signal safety. Like guilt is not, needed here, right? And like it's okay. You said no, and no is loving. And now that you're in this thing of like, no, this was loving, and this is what I needed, right, to be well, and what I needed to connect with my family, and this was a really good decision for me. You signal safety and you integrate that practice of learning to say no to things that are no to you, right? But if you were a people pleaser before and you're like, yes, 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 and didn't learn to say no, this feels very unfamiliar. Is this, hitting a mark? Anyone feeling like, oh yeah, you're talking about me, or this is landing for you? I hope this is not just like, whoo, over. I hope this is landing. So give me some feedback, especially if you're watching like the replay. I'd love to hear from you. And so how do we signal safety? You're all wondering. Well, using your senses is a perfect way to do so. So as I just started with you, we just went into some breathing, some slow breathing, some bringing your awareness, some touch, like, I don't know about you, but like touching a furry blanket, hand on your heart is really comforting to me now. Just hugging, like holding yourself. This is a safety hold. just like, I've got you. Smelling essential oils. We'll get to aroma here in just a minute. Looking around the room and seeing 5 things that you see and just naming them out loud. A candle, the wooden table, my fur blanket, like bringing you into the present and hearing yourself say what you see. Vibration, and that's spelled wrong. Apologies. No spell check here. Vibration or music. I've been loving like binaural beats or like frequency music that really just brings my brain into different brainwave states, as we played around with it, talked about a little bit. Humming. Humming is so soothing to the nervous system. So have you ever found yourself humming? Maybe now you're like, oh, I know why. Super like soothing. And movement is an energy mover, right? So sometimes we just have to like shake or throw away, like, brush it off, right? Like we've heard these things in songs or alluded to them with kids, like get the wiggles out. Like that is nervous system regulation, right? It helps us to move and bring the body back into balance and get into the present moment, because your safety is in the present moment. Because no matter what your actual, like, regardless of your external circumstances, if you are here, if you are watching this, if you are hearing my voice, you are safe. You are safe. Whatever is your past or in your future or your right here, right now, if you hear my voice, you see my screen, you're here. The fact of the matter is you are safe. And so when we can bring the senses, the mind, the body into safety, felt safety, here. Now, yes, this is taking into assumption that our basic needs are met. Like when you're hungry, you're hangry. We say we're hangry because like your blood sugar's off, you're, dysregulated, and you can't have a regulated nervous system if your blood sugar is always off, right? If you've never eaten, if you haven't eaten all day, and if it's freezing cold and you're shivering to stay warm, like for long periods of time, right? You're not going to signal safety. Yeah. So you're, this is taking into consideration that also, like, this is practices to do once like our basic needs are met. So that's a good point to put out there. Well, guess what? So when we go to aroma, so back when I was sharing with you and I'm just going to go back to that slide here so you can see a visual of the different states of the nervous system here. You saw that ventral vagal is the terminology that's used for safety for this parasympathetic nervous system. And your parasympathetic nervous system is the creation, right? It's the rest and the digest state that we want to bring our body into. And sometimes, guys, it's like at bedtime, that's not even triggering. I mean, we're sleeping, right? We can say, oh, I slept X amount of hours. But if you go to bed and like conk out, like if you come down off of like a high, we were talking about brainwave states, a high functioning beta state, and like crash into a delta wave state, right? Which is like sleep or theta. And like it's just like really fast. And then you wake back up, or you don't stay. Like that's why all that sleep technology like monitors, how well you've had X, Y, or Z, or where you spent time in different states of sleep. Because, it's like, do we shut off? Or I was waking up with my hands like this, or our teeth clenched while we're sleeping, wake up in stress or anxiety, that's very possible. So anyways, our ventral nerve, our ventral vagal state is what that's called. And so we have a part of our nervous system called the vagus nerve. And this vagus nerve runs, as you see in this screen image, from our brain down through our body, and it goes to various organs in the body. Now, our vagus nerve, stimulating the vagus nerve helps signal calm to the body. So again, we want to signal safety in the body. And the vagus nerve is the main component of the parasympathetic nervous system. So it's like this switch. Remember I said we can't be in one or the other, like we can't be in both. So there's a switch, there's a light switch. We have sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. That light switch is triggered on and off by this vagus nerve. So this vagus nerve is important, and it's a communication between your brain and almost every organ in the body. This two-way communication. Notice they said two-way communication. And there's a lot of communication from our heart to our brain, more so than our brain to our body, right? Our gut to our brain. Like there's two-way communication happening here, just so that you're aware. If you didn't know that, right? And so this connects with it's like named as the wanderer, right? Vagus means the wanderer in Latin. And so it just like wanders around throughout the body. And as I was saying, 80% of the communication is from our body to our brain, not our brain to our body. So it's like, oh, I'm thinking this thought, but my body's not feeling that way. Or my body's so upset, but I'm calm, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. No, your body is like totally not good, right? You've seen, you've probably been that person, or you've seen that person. It's like, you okay? Yeah, I'm totally okay, I'm okay. You're thinking the thought like, or subconscious, or, in your own mind, you're not saying those thoughts, right? But yeah, and it's like the gut feeling, right? Or your heart's desire. It's because, yes, your heart has a communication, your gut has a communication, your other organs, like in your body, have communication with your brain. And I know I've used this word a lot of like talking about oils and helping me to get into my body, or the breath exercise, dropping into the body, and the consciousness, the knowing that the body has versus your brain. Because when you're up in here and you're thinking and trying to figure things out, like you're out of body. And your body has a lot of wisdom and a lot of information for you. So dropping down into the body, that's what that is. And in response to these messages that your brain releases, right? This is where the chemicals come into play. It's triggered here. Stimulating this nerve triggers the relaxation in the body. And the more that we trigger this nerve, it's called toning. So we're toning the vagus nerve. We're getting into practice. This is not like, oh, I did this once. And, it's like we're on the regular practicing toning this. So this is like a ritual and a habit that we put into place to trigger safety by stimulating the vagus nerve. And some of these things are on the screen, right? That can really help to trigger that. One of them that I'm going to talk about today is the aroma, right? So you think about essential oils are my number one tool to go to for regulating my nervous system, for processing and releasing emotions, for dealing with stress. Aroma has a direct link. Like, think about this. So your vagus nerve is I just told you, we have to stimulate it to trigger safety in our body. Your vagus nerve meets the outside world here by your nose, right? So when I go back to like here, like it goes into your brain, your outside world is consumed here in through your nose, like a lot of is taken into your olfactory system, which then here we can trigger the brain to go into altering our mood, altering cognition, altering behavior. We can get into the amygdala, which houses emotion and memory, right? It's like, imagine this, and this scenario. You're sitting with a girlfriend at dinner, and you're just like rambling on about your day and this, that, and the other thing. And all of a sudden this like warm chocolate chip cookie smell like wafts in. You're like, oh, what was that? Right? Or enter any smell that you like. That triggered you out of the rambling, out of the past, present, and brought you past or future, brought you into the present moment, and like made you were present with what is in your environment. Okay. Smell is powerful like that. It can trigger. It also can trigger. So pops you into the present, but where I was going with this was the emotion or memory. So it's like, oh, I remember Like when I had a warm chocolate chip cookie that so-and-so made, or yeah, I had the best one here. Like it triggers memory, that smell alone. And so it also, it's like an emotion, like, oh, it just smells so warm and cozy and inviting. Like there's a whole emotion evoked as well. So smell is very potent. It's a potent wizard, as Helen Keller once said, right? It like just evokes this memory, this awareness, and emotion. And so that is why I love going there, because as I had said earlier, like sometimes in this creation process here, it's not always like easy to just like, oh, think a different thought. And even if I'm thinking a different thought, my emotion about it doesn't match the thought, right? Or it doesn't match the thought in the moment. It will over time, but in the moment, it just doesn't, I'm not feeling it. And one of they're like the best presencing tools, right? And so if I can presence myself in what is, which is where safety is, it's just really powerful in all things. And look at what it does to your body, right? So triggering this vagus nerve, switching that on, toning this nerve helps with these things, all of these. And what's that, the other one? Yep, all of these. Just by toning your vagus nerve. And one of the ways is by using aroma. Now, science backs this up, right? What we know. And so like the coined term, stop and smell the roses, like that wasn't just a thing, right? It's like stop and smell an aroma, presence yourself with what is, come into consciousness, come into the present moment, like have a clearer mind, right? Or a scenario like what is, soothe yourself, and then make a new decision. But in the haste and waste and hustle and bustle and running and going and stress and anger and fear and right? Emergency mode. How are you supposed to problem solve, dream, create, connect, decide, right? Remember, we said those things don't happen in that brainwave state. So triggering that response and interaction between the nervous system and the respiratory system and breathing, right? And so we see that like citrus oils on the other side affect this mood, right? Producing of serotonin, which is like, talk about, we were saying like our body is so masterfully made and created, and it produces these chemicals like for a reason, right? And so we just need to know how to create other responses in the body than the stressed one or learned ones that we have programmed in there, and be the creator of our environment, internal and external then, right? The creator of our internal environment of aligning to more peace and joy and confidence and groundedness and harmony that we desire, right? And so chemically speaking, these essential oils do help, right? Lavender, citrus, you see on bergamot is amazing. I have this always right by my desk, oil with self-confidence and helping with self-image and self-worth. So that's another one, but any citrus, lavender is amazing. And these, we know that they help unbreak like this neural pathway. So your brain is wired and neuron, like thoughts that fire together. So like if you keep thinking the thought, you keep creating these wirings, and they keep fusing together. But it's like helping to unbreak some of those things that you've always thought. Remember, I said like if we keep thinking, then we're like, oh, I'm just an anxious person. I thought that all the time. I'm just an anxious person. This is just who I am. This is what it is, right? It's like, so it's just like unbreaking things that are no longer true for us. They've served us for some time, but if they're unhealthy and they're ready to be broken up, then we can break up neural pathways. Your brain is neuroplastic. We can unlearn and relearn at any age. That's the good part, right? We can unlearn things. We can unthink, right? Start thinking a new way and retrain our thoughts. We can anchor in positive thoughts. Your words are such power. Like, how are you speaking to yourself? We can impact mood, we can open airways, and we can also cleanse the environment with using essential oils, breathing them in, spraying them, diffusing them in our environment, and also applying them on our physical body in 3 different ways. So here are a few oils. If you have oils, I know some of you who are watching do have oils, and if you are wanting to experience this shift, this toning of your vagal nerve, this shift in the chemical, like from moment to moment support, right? And get in the practice of inhaling this aroma and declaring, right? Declaring truth, new thoughts, right? Anchoring in new thoughts that support the mood that you're going to, support the calm, the confident you. We can do aroma, touch, serenity, ylang ylang, adaptive. Vetiver is amazing. Holiday joy is so festive this time of season, and adaptive is really, one of the well liked. And before the screen was created, well, the screen was created before this oil was created, but I'm going to talk to you about another oil. So take a screenshot of this if you're interested. But also with this, while you're presencing yourself, it's really powerful to get clear. Are these my burdens? Am I carrying someone else's? Am I trying to, am I shouldering things that aren't mine? Am I people pleasing, right? Like, what am I doing here? What will it take to live in the present moment and leave the future to itself? Like the future tomorrow, when I walk into work, I will handle it again. I will handle whatever it is. But right in this moment, I can leave that for tomorrow when I need to walk back into work and handle that situation. I'm not handling it in my bed, am I? And what will it take for me to have realistic expectations of myself? You'll handle it, right? But you don't need to shoulder or take on X, Y, or Z. The thought, right? Or the stress. Declaring as you're taking in the aroma and declaring, I am now adopting the belief that all things work together for my good. What is this here to teach me, right? I'll handle it. I'm doing the best that I can. I am perfectly supported. I am right on time. Remember, your body might be saying, I don't feel that way. Use your oil. Keep inhaling. That's the magic, well, not really magic, it's science, chemically, of the oil meeting your body's chemistry and telling it a different story. Telling it a different story, giving it a new light, giving it new language, giving it a new feeling, marinating that, flowing through, right? And that's the visualization. So remember, it helps to close your eyes, to close out all the stimulus that's bombarding you, right, around your physical environment. And imagine peace flowing down your body. See light encircling your body. Listen to your breath. A peaceful river flowing through your body. Everything is working out for me. Right? And you bring yourself into a new state. You do it again when you need to. Okay? One of the oils I was saying to you, and I'm just going to talk about one, right? We could talk about many, but one of the essential oils that is newer to us is Shinrin-yoku. And Shinrin-yoku is a coined Japanese term that just means forest bathing. And this is a blend of the phytosides, which are the chemicals that the forest air gives us. So when we go into a forest, and I don't know about you, when I step into a forest, I'm different. I feel like, oh, I'm safe. No one can catch me here, right? All the world is left. Have you ever immersed yourself into a forest? And this is really what's cool about do you have a Christmas tree? Because your pine needles, right? Your forestry, bringing that into your home, smell that aroma, feel that branch in your hand, get connected to nature. This Shinrin-yoku, this has a bunch of different ingredients of chemical constituents. It's masterfully blended to mimic forest air. We can't always be in the forest, or it's too cold, or, whatever you want to say, right? Can't get there, but we can diffuse this. And I have to tell you, I love putting it on my body, but before bed, if I diffuse it, I set it up as I'm getting ready for bed. And for that 30 minutes, it creates such a peaceful sanctuary in my bedroom at night that, like, putting a drop on my wrist or just smelling it wouldn't create the same effect. So I love diffusing this one. And there is a study done that people for 8 days, I believe, diffuse this next to their bed, and look at the results. So why? Like, look at the cortisol dropped in 40%. And lymphocyte is your your fighter cells in your immune system, right? Natural killer cells increased by almost 60%. Remember what I said to you, like, stress is taking a lot of energy to be in that stress, fight, flight mode. Or freeze, numb. Like, even if we're numb, even if we're not feeling, right, in that other state, that's still a stress state of survival. We're just in survival, like, hold off, right? Freeze, numb, or fawn, like, fake, like it's not happening, right? Don't get into it. All this energy exertion is taken away from the internal workings of your body and your immune system, which is fighting off so much. It's doing so much for you. So we talk about, even in the winter, right? It's like cold and flu season, and let's strengthen our immune system. Yes, and stress is going to deteriorate your immune system faster than you eating well, washing your hands, all those things. Those are all great measures. And we have to, we can't avoid the stress. Like, well, I can't avoid the stress. Well, now I hope that with this presentation, you have been part of me modeling a practice of coming into the present moment, of being present with what is, of choosing a new thought to think, even just for the moment or for 5 minutes of your day, turning on some meditative music, using your senses to bring safety, to feel safe in your environment. And also Shinrin-yoku, right? And or lavender, citrus oils, those types of things can really bring your body like a new chemical orchestra that can just like come in and give it a new story, right? So what is a greater expression of myself that I would like to be? We talked a lot about like stress, what we don't want, what we're annoyed with, frustrated with, and on and on. It's like, what do I want to be? What is a greater expression, right? Who am I becoming? I want to, like, who am I if I would leave this stress behind, this and to meditate means to cultivate self. And so in quiet introspection, right? Meditation, and to quiet the present, like, the brain, to be not in your thought, to notice them, but not be engaged in them, right? To settle in, to settle down, even if it's just smelling in an oil and closing your eyes, right? As the beginnings of this practice, not full-blown meditation. Maybe you're there yet. That's great. Awesome. But meditation means to cultivate self. And so we can find peaceful moments, even for just a few minutes each day, to center into your heart, your body, right? Into relaxing your shoulders and practice. This is not about perfection. This is not about, well, I'll get to it when I have less stress, right? This is a practice to be a more vibrant, to be a more present. Maybe like for the holidays, you're like, I just want to be more present and not so wrapped up in my head. Or like, I want to experience this with my children. Like, I don't want to miss out. Like, I want to be more present. And so these things will help you, like a more present mom. I want to be a more compassionate partner, wife, like You just don't have time to be, right? So it's like this whole like cultivating, who do you want to be? Just want to be more peaceful and free up some more energy, right? So that I have more energy to create and not be so exhausted. So as we wrap up, just really like I asked you at the beginning during me modeling this for you, what do you want to feel more of um, this week, right? Connect to this. What do you want to be like? And if I were the peaceful woman, right? If I was the compassionate partner, if I was the present mom, what would I choose? What would I choose to think? Would I choose to put this practice into play? How would I be more loving of myself? Just getting into cultivating a vision. So that you can come home to that anchor of like, why would I want to make a change, right? What's in it for me? Right? Because change is, why is change so hard? We talked a lot about in this scenario, a lot of it is the stress, the stress chemicals, the memory that the body has, that it's stored this signature. And so sometimes it doesn't always feel like, not anything's happening, but small, consistent changes over time make a big difference. And so I want to give you this bit.ly/Allison Henry. This is a free 30-minute consultation with me in helping you make this personal, make this land for you. I have this resource for you if you want to go deeper with me here to really anchor in and kind of look at like what is causing your stress, the thoughts, the feelings, things that are up for you in life and support you in that. You can go here and schedule and get on my calendar for that. And I just want to, I'll, send out this recording, but I just want to also have you just thank yourself for showing up, even if you were here watching this live recording or watching the recording, or you came in and had to go, but you picked up bits and pieces along the way. Just really grateful that you took some time out of your day and the hustle and bustle to learn how to cultivate more peace, more calm, more joy in this season. And it really is through the practice of regulating your nervous system and using tools to stimulate the vagus nerve, right? So we can come into the present moment and into creation versus living in survival mode. So I look forward to continuing this conversation with you in our Facebook group if we're connected on Instagram, or please sign up take me up on my offer of digging a little deeper in that resource of a free 30-minute call with me. I'd love to support you and to chat more about how we can transform the stress and get you into living more in homeostasis and in the creation mode, where you can really thrive. So thanks again for being here, either live or catching the recording. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me and leave comments of what stood out to you, what resonated, what was something that you did not know, something maybe you needed to hear. I'd love to see your feedback. Have a great rest of your evening and a beautiful holiday.